Well, much of agriculture is celebrating a win with the passage of the Big Beautiful Bill, which includes a number of provisions set to impact farmers and ranchers as we move forward. George Baird with the American Society of Farm Managers and Rural Appraisers joins us now for more on this. George, always a pleasure. So for you, what do you see, George, as the key provisions that are beneficial to producers across the country when it comes to this legislation?
You know, one of the big areas was just increase in PLC and ARC reference prices, right? Yeah, I think it had been something like 18 years since we've seen an adjustment in reference prices. And when you look at rice, corn, beans, wheat across the board, I think the average comes out to, somewhere around 15% increase in those reference prices, which directly relates to about a 50, I think it's close to $50 billion increase in PLC payouts projected over the next 10 years, as well as increase in ARC payouts of about $3.5 billion. So that really creates, at least raises, gives us some more security on the farm level for those payments when we're looking at, especially a time of low commodity prices and some uncertainty around the trade bill. This gives us a little bit more certainty about where we can market commodities at.
Well, we're talking about commodities, so let's talk about base acres and payment limitations there. What changes were made? What do you see there?
Yeah, the bill also allows us to adjust base acres. We haven't really been able to adjust base acres in a while, but this gives us a cap of 30 million additional base acres. And there'll be different ways you can do that. There's 3 or 4 different main provisions. You may be able to look at like your average planted acres over the last several years, or the lesser of some kind of the non-program payments. Maybe you'll be able to increase those acres. What isn't clear, and it doesn't appear that's in this bill, is that you will be able to increase any yield, though. I did do a little research on that. And unless some additional provisions come out in the final passage of the Farm Bill itself, there will not be that a chance to increase additional acres. There is a cap on 30 million acres. So if the signups increase, go above that, they actually may have to prorate those out. But in some cases, we will be able to see a pretty good reduction or increase in base acres across the area, which gives farmers a little bit more protection as well.
Well, George, you mentioned not seeing an increase with the yield. Obviously, these provisions that is in place. So when it comes to things that have been left out, what do you see for the Farm Bill, the spending there, and the possibility of when we could see this?
The CBO projects that we're going to save $120 billion over 10 years. Where will they actually see an increase in commodity program payments? But the big decreases come in like SNAP program payments. And I think we'll learn a lot more about those final details over the next few months. I really hope this provides a nice pathway where the Ag Committee can push this on through, and we'll have something solidly in place before we really reach full harvest. We really need something done in this fiscal year, and the sooner the better, just to give some certainty out there in the community, into the countryside, and especially in our banking community, because we still are dealing with tariff issues, some weather issues, around the country, and this will just be one of at least another step that gives us a little bit more security, from the farm table to the field.
Absolutely, George. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time today. George Baird with the American Society of Farm Managers and Rural Appraisers.